Chapter 4. Friendship Gets Tested. Kevin Levin was many things a delinquent. Troublemaker, sure, but despite all the bad things people labeled him, he still wasn't a bad guy. Sure would he break the rules on an occasion, but he's a teenager who wouldn't. Right now, he was in a dark room.
Dear Kevin.
He turned to the voice that echoed throughout the room. The voice always goaded, always told him to absorb, to take. It was like a hunger that begged for itself fulfilled.
I sense power. Power that you can't imagine.
The voice sounded ecstatic. Go away, leave me alone, Kevin growled in annoyance.
Why do you hold yourself back? We are strong. We should not.
Shut it, Kevin shouted to the void. I know what you are, a little present from dear old Dad. I'm happy that bastard is dead. And whatever you are, I'm not going to be like him. A person who takes and takes. I refuse to be like that demon. The voice just chuckled in amusement as the place began to grow darker. The walls closing in as a hand erupted, holding him down, as one began to approach. He struggled, in place as then. He woke up with a jolt as he woke up in a cold sweat and breathed heavily, grasping his face in fear. It had been a full week since Izuku discovered the Omnitrix. He had been training regularly and had informed All Might about the dojo where he was learning martial arts. All Might found the idea splendid. Before, their schedule had been tight, but now, with the Omnitrix, All Might could fit in some martial arts training. Now, Izuku stood in front of the dojo, shaking like a leaf in the wind. He took a deep breath before walking inside. The moment he entered, the smell of sweat flooded his senses. As he looked around, he noticed people sparring with one another. Oh, Midoriya, you made it! The voice of Itsuka Kendo reached him as she approached, accompanied by an old man hunched over and holding a cane. Seeing Kendo in her training gi made Izuku blush. She looked really cute. Hi, he stammered. The old man began to circle around Izuku, observing him with keen interest. Kendo looked somewhat embarrassed but didn't say anything to stop him. After a few moments, Izuku felt he should ask, what is he doing? He's sizing you up, shouted a boy who was wiping sweat off his forehead. Don't worry, he did the same thing with us. Oh, okay, Izuku replied. The man stopped and faced him directly, staring into his eyes while everyone watched in anticipation. His cane slammed to the ground, causing Izuku to flinch. From what I can see, you're spineless, pathetic, weak. A hush fell over the group at the old man's blunt assessment. Kendo felt compelled to speak up. Grandpa, don't you think... But she was cut off when he raised a hand. But, he continued, when I look into your eyes, I see that the world has tried to put you down. I see that the world has tried to crush you, but it has only strengthened your unbreakable spirit. You have heart and soul, but your lack of self-confidence and timid nature will hold you back. Izuku stood silent and stunned as the man continued. Right now, you're nothing but a candle. He turned his back to Izuku. Itsuka. His tone was firm, and the girl stood rigid with her arms on her hips. Yes! You said you haven't been challenged enough, am I right? Yes, Sensei, she replied. In 5 months, I expect this boy to be a raging inferno. You both have a lot of work to do. Both Kendo and Izuku screamed, What? But Grandpa, it's Sensei, my pupil. Take this as another lesson to learn. Now, please take young Izuku for a moment. You're both the same age, so I hope you become friends as student and master. Kendo looked somewhat annoyed but sighed, giving a nod before smiling at Izuku. Before he could say anything, Kendo grabbed him by the wrist, pulling him up and out of the room with surprising ease. She was much stronger than she looked. Come on, Midoriya, let's get going. Thus began the months with Kendo to come. As she pulled him past the dojo and into the back room, a mixture of a storage area, locker room, nurse's office, and weight room, Izuku looked around in awe. He noticed practice weapons, such as staffs, stacked in a corner. After some weight measurements and a series of questions, Kendo observed Izuku. Although he had been training somewhat, she still considered him scrawny. From the time she had spent measuring him and conducting other tests, it was clear to her that he wasn't used to being around girls. His stuttering, flushed face and tendency to look away either at the floor or anywhere but at her, made that obvious. She handed him a gi to change into, and he stepped behind a curtain to get ready. Wanting to break the ice since they would be training together, Kendo decided to initiate conversation. So, Midoriya, what school do you go to? She asked, trying to ease the tension. Aldria Junior High. What about you? He stammered. Dan Tooney Junior High. From what I can see of your hands and body, you've been training, right? Yeah. I've been training for the UA entrance exam. Oh, no way. You're aiming for UA too? Kendo said, her excitement evident. Yeah, it's my dream school. I've always wanted to attend, even though some people said it was impossible, but I'm still going to try my best. Kendo smiled at him. Yeah, people have told me my quirk is just one note, but I don't care. I love my quirk. I'm going to get into UA and become a hero. Just then, Izuku finished putting on his gi and smiled as he glanced at the Omnitrix. He stepped out from behind the curtain. So how does it feel? I think I got the right size. It feels a little big, Izuku admitted, looking at himself in the mirror. Yeah, when I got my first gi, it felt way too big, but after a while, it fit perfectly. I guess. Now let's begin your training. First, we'll start with some stretches. Midoriya froze, a blank expression on his face. Stretches with a girl? He looked at Kendo, taking in her figure, and gulped. Slapping his cheeks to shake off any impure thoughts, he followed Kendo out, determined to focus on the training ahead. They returned to their green cinnamon roll, which had just been judo flipped and crashed to the ground. Ow! Izuku groaned, rubbing his backside. Come on, Midoriya, try harder, Kendo called out, her hands on her hips and a determined look on her face. Izuku lay on the ground for a moment, taking a deep breath before pushing himself up. He rubbed his butt, feeling a little defeated. For the past 3 hours, Kendo had been testing him to see how she could improve his skills. From their first fight, she knew he would need a lot of work. Kendo sighed, wiping sweat from her forehead with the back of her hand. She grabbed a towel, dabbed her face, and tossed a bottle of water to Izuku. Let's take a break. As they settled down, Izuku felt the perfect opportunity to ask a question that had been weighing on his mind. He fidgeted, scratching the back of his head. Hey, Kendo, I was wondering, seeing the boy stutter and blush wasn't anything new to Kendo, but from everyone else's perspective, it looked like he was about to ask her out. Ooh, looks like the tomboy Kendo is finally getting a boyfriend, a voice teased from across the room. Kendo rolled her eyes and waved them off, turning back to Izuku, who was still fumbling for words. You said you have a transformation quirk. I was wondering if you could show me some tricks. He looked up at her, his eyes wide with anticipation. Huh? Is that all? Kendo replied, a playful smirk on her face. She set her bottle down and suddenly her hand began to grow. Izuku's eyes widened in amazement. So what do you want to know? How do you turn it back? I mean, how does your hand go back to its normal size? He glanced at the Omnitrix, then back at her. I've been trying to turn back to myself after I transform, but the only way is when I'm heavily exhausted. Oh, well, it's not that complicated. I just think about wanting to go back, and I do it. She demonstrated, her hand shrinking down and then enlarging again effortlessly. Izuku nodded, a determined expression crossing his face. Just think about going back to myself. He stared at the Omnitrix, pressing the button with a mix of excitement and nervousness, drawing Kendo's curious gaze. What are you doing to your... She was cut off by a sudden burst of green light engulfing him, catching everyone's attention. Kendo instinctively covered her eyes, and when she opened them again, her mouth dropped in shock. Where a scrawny, timid boy had stood, now loomed a 12-foot-tall, four-armed alien. All she could manage was,
Forearms!
The alien exclaimed, his voice booming. Go back to Izuku, go back to Izuku, go back, Izuku, he muttered, scrunching his face in concentration as he struggled for a moment before slumping to the ground. That didn't work. Kendo's eyes bulged out, scanning the alien before her. A few girls watching the whole scene blushed, feeling a little turned on by the alien's imposing figure. Midoriya, that's you, right? Do you mind turning back? She asked, her voice a mix of awe and concern. Yeah, I'm kinda stuck like this until I get tired, he replied, looking down with an apologetic expression. Oh, when you said your quirk is a transformation type, I didn't expect... This? Yeah, 4 arms is pretty cool. He's good with strength, but fast track is better for speed. Fast track? Oh, that's what I call my forms, he explained, a shy blush creeping across his alien cheeks. Forms? Like plural? Yeah, I can turn into 10 other heroes, he said, his tone filled with embarrassment. Kendo stared at him in disbelief, her eyes wide. This guy had an incredibly overpowered quirk, yet he was so timid. Usually those with powerful quirks were the most arrogant jerks. But I don't get it. You have such an awesome quirk. How can someone like you with a quirk like that be so timid and, honestly, kind of wimpy? She crossed her arms, a look of genuine confusion on her face. The alien flinched at her words, his posture deflating slightly. Sorry. No, it's refreshing. Most guys with a quirk as powerful as yours are kind of jackasses who look down on people with quirks like mine, Kendo said, glancing down at her hands, a hint of disappointment in her tone. What? But I think your quirk is amazing, the alien exclaimed, bending down slightly to meet her gaze. Your quirk is both offensive and defensive. You can subdue villains and protect bystanders. Kendo looked at the 4-armed alien geeking out about her quirk, which made her laugh despite the fact that he looked like a freaking monster with muscles that would make All Might jealous. The alien was still Izuku, after all. As she observed him, she couldn't understand how someone with a quirk like that could have such low confidence in himself. Then she noticed the symbol of the Omnitrix on his wrist. Hey, maybe try pressing that dial thingy, she suggested. I've tried. Nothing happened, he replied, his voice still carrying that familiar hint of defeat. Well, try it while using my advice, it might work, she encouraged, a playful smile on her face. 4 arms stood up and approached the dial. Go back to Izuku, he muttered as he touched the dial. In a massive burst of green light, he transformed back into Izuku. To most of the girls' disappointment, the eye candy had just disappeared in a flash of light. Izuku looked at himself, relief flooding through him as he realized he was back to normal. Hey, I'm me. Thank you, Kendo. No problem. Now let's get back to training. You need a lot of work. And hey, if you have time, I'd love to spar with that 4-arms guy, she said, her enthusiasm evident. Sure, no problem, Izuku replied, a slight blush creeping across his cheeks. As the day came to an end, Izuku headed home. Ever since he told All Might that he wished to learn some martial arts, the pro hero had immediately adjusted his plans. Within a week, every Tuesday and Thursday would be dedicated to martial arts training, while the other days would focus on building his body to prepare for One for All. While walking home, Izuku took a moment to write a new entry in his notebook. It was about Kendo and her quirk. He meticulously documented every detail and aspect, even if there wasn't too much to it. He found it a little weird, but he couldn't help himself. Kevin returned home, and what he saw made him drop his bag and feel his blood boil. His car was smashed to bits, a tag on it reading, Freaks of Aldria. Kevin dropped to his knees, instinctively absorbing the ground as black electricity crackled around him. Then he heard a voice that sounded eerily like his deceased father's.
What a shame.
Kevin looked like he was about to lose it. This wasn't just a car. He had worked tirelessly for months for it. This was his ticket out of the slumps, his way to a new garage, his home, his car, everything was vandalized.
You know what I find hilarious? The people who did this will probably suffer no consequences. There will be no punishment.
No.
What?
I'll make them pay. If no one is going to do anything, it will be me. Me and Izuku will burn that school to the ground. He he he. Ha ha ha. His face twisted into an unhinged expression as he began to laugh. Black electricity with a red outline crackled around his body. It was the afternoon around 1500. That weekend, Izuku woke up early and began training to clean up the beach. Unbeknownst to him, he was being watched by his friend Kevin, who observed from afar. Just as Kevin was about to ask Izuku why he was training, he noticed something puzzling. The boy began fiddling with the watch on his wrist. What are you doing? Kevin wondered, his eyes widening as Izuku slammed down on the Omnitrix and was engulfed in a green flash, transforming into some sort of crab creature. What the? Kevin watched as Izuku, now in the form of Brainstorm, released electricity from his hands, lifting trash and stacking it into a pile. Moments later, Izuku pressed the dial again, turning back into himself as he started gathering the trash and running up the stairs where a thin blonde man watched. Getting tired of standing by, Kevin decided to confront Izuku. He has a quirk? For how long? Since when? It must have been recent. There's no way he would go through that torment willingly, right? A malicious smile crept across his face. He has a quirk. If the two of us, yes. Young Midoriya, I see you've figured out how to turn back, All Might said. Izuku nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, thanks to Kendo I was able to figure it out. She's amazing. She. Oh, is young Midoriya a ladies' man? All Might asked, a hint of fear in his voice. Please, for the love of God, don't be like your dad in that department. We almost ended up in a galactic war because alien women wanted a piece of him. No matter how many advances they made, he was always loyal to Inko. Huh? Oh no, sorry, All Might. But I doubt I could get a girlfriend if my life depended on it, Izuku said, sighing in relief. Izuku, a familiar voice called, making the two flinch. They turned to see Kevin Levin walking down the stairs. Kevin? What are you doing here? Izuku asked in a panicked tone, glancing at All Might, who met Kevin's gaze without flinching. I came to ask about that speed dude from yesterday, you know, the guy who saved my car from being totally trashed. He had the same symbol on his chest as your watch. But now I just saw you turn into that crab guy, so something tells me you were that speedster, right? Kevin said, glaring at him. Unable to lie, Izuku nodded. After a few minutes of silence, Kevin smirked. So you have a quirk? I thought you were quirkless. Well, young Midoriya's quirk just came in. All Might interjected quickly. Apparently, it's a transformation type that allows him to change into multiple forms with unique powers. It lay dormant for a while, but after the sludge villain... Gotcha! You transformed? Wait, but that was 3 months ago. It didn't show any signs until recently. We're still trying to figure it out. All Might added hastily. Oh, okay, so you know next to nothing about this overpowered quirk? All right. And who are you, skeleton dude? Kevin asked skeptically. I'm his trainer of sorts, All Might said quickly. Kevin nodded. Don't know why you're keeping it a secret, though. Midoriya's quirk is, unlike others, as you can see, All Might explained. Dude has multiple forms. You don't see that every day, actually, like, ever. Maybe dual quirk users, but this... Kevin shook his head in disbelief. Exactly. We'd like to understand it ourselves before people start hounding him like animals, trying to figure him out, so please keep this information to yourself. Kevin shrugged, then put an arm around Izuku's shoulder, dragging him away from All Might. Hey, Izuku, how about you ditch this training for today and we hit the mall instead? I'm not sure about that. Come on, I've had a pretty bad day, and you owe me at least that much, Kevin said, making Izuku feel guilty for lying to his only friend. He turned back to All Might and bowed slightly. Sorry, Yagi-sensei, but I'll be canceling training today. This made Kevin smile to himself while All Might frowned slightly. I'll make up for it, don't worry. All Might sighed, understanding that Kevi found out Izuku was lying to him. He would want some time to talk privately. I understand, young Midoriya. Your friend probably has a lot of questions. I'll leave you two. And I slammed down on the dial, and then I turned into one of 10 aliens, Izuku exclaimed, his excitement bubbling over. Aliens? Kevin asked, raising an eyebrow in disbelief. That's what I call them, Izuku stammered, his cheeks flushing slightly. So that blue cat-like thing at the school was you? Kevin inquired, trying to wrap his head around the concept. Uh-huh, Izuku said, nodding nervously. Dude, you're the man! Kevin shouted, giving his friend a high five. You totally stopped those jackasses from messing up my car! We're friends, and that's what friends are for, Izuku replied, a proud smile spreading across his face. But as he glanced at Kevin, he noticed the devilish smile creeping across his friend's features. Huh, all right. You know, with your new quirk and my own, we would make an unstoppable team, Kevin said, a glint of mischief in his eyes. Yeah, Izuku replied, clenching his fist in determination. We could make great heroes. But Kevin's smile faltered, and he turned serious. Heroes? Right. His tone caught Izuku off guard, making him tilt his head in confusion. Though with you having a quirk now, it means you have to follow all those stupid quirk laws, Kevin added, a hint of frustration in his voice. Huh? What do you mean? Izuku asked, puzzled. Well, you know that whole thing about running in to save someone who's in trouble? You can't exactly do that anymore, Kevin explained, his expression darkening. Midoriya furrowed his brow, trying to comprehend Kevin's words. Before he could respond, Kevin closed his eyes, lost in thought. It had been a week since his home was vandalized and his car destroyed, and he had made his declaration. During that time, he absorbed the quirks of a few people. Not too flashy, just a hearing quirk from one guy and an improved vision ability from a pink-haired girl with dreadlocks. Suddenly, he concentrated, hearing something that made him smile.
Help!
Izuku's heart raced at the sound. A cry for help was one of his few weaknesses. Let's turn this way. It's a shortcut, Kevin suggested, his eyes lighting up with a hint of excitement. Huh? Sure, Izuku replied, trusting his friend. They both headed down the narrow alleyway, the atmosphere shifting as shadows loomed around them. Kevin remained silent, his expression serious. Izuku felt the urgency of their mission as they moved deeper into the alley. Then, his sharp ears picked up a feminine voice crying out,
Help?
Without hesitation, Izuku sprinted toward the sound, and Kevin followed, surprised at how much faster Izuku seemed to be moving. Must have been all that training, Kevin thought, determination pushing him forward. They arrived at a scene that made them stop in their tracks. A girl in a middle school uniform stood helplessly, her purple hair flowing around her as she faced a group of guys brandishing weapons. Ear jacks protruded from her ears, crackling with static. Leave me alone, the girl shouted, her voice filled with defiance. You're mutant scum. We're going to mess up that pretty face of yours, one of the thugs sneered. Does it really take this many guys to beat up one girl? She retorted, standing her ground. Oh, we both know you aren't just any girl. What you did to our boy here made us really mad. Your boy is a real creep. Don't you know what no means? She shot back. Kyuka, are you still mad about the quirkless kid? Come on, he was just some nobody. One of the thugs laughed. It was needless and cruel, she exclaimed, her determination unshaken. Kevin, watching from afar, whistled in disbelief. What were the chances he would come across someone like her? As they observed the thugs preparing to attack, Kyuka didn't look scared. Instead, she seemed to be formulating a plan, though she clearly didn't know what to do next. Izuku immediately reached for the Omnitrix, but a hand stopped him. What do you think you're doing? Kevin questioned, his voice firm. What am I doing? What are you doing? Izuku looked at him pleadingly. I have a quirk now, I can help, now let me go. Oh, I don't doubt you could take them if your transformations are what you told me they are, but you have a quirk now, meaning you have to follow our quirk laws. What? Izuku asked, confusion written all over his face. You were quirkless. Of course, you wouldn't be aware of how harsh it is to use our quirks to harm others, and if UA finds out, they can't accept someone who breaks the laws so blatantly. You think this is just a game? One wrong move and they'll label you a villain. You'll be blacklisted before you even get started on your hero journey. You're not serious. I can't just stand by and... You have to! People who break the laws regardless of their reasons are considered villains. That's the society we live in. We have to turn a blind eye. Izuku felt conflicted as Kevin let go of his arm. He glanced at the girl pressed up against the wall. Her eyes may have shown bravery, but he could see the silent plea for help. Someone save me. Without another thought, he slammed down on the Omnitrix. The green flash caught the attention of everyone nearby, including the thugs who were about to do God knows what to the girl. From the bright light, a ball of green slime flew through the air and landed between her and the thugs. Izuku exclaimed, transforming into the slimy alien. With a stretchy fist, Goop slammed one villain into the wall, leaving him stuck amidst a gooey residue. A thug swung at Goop, but the alien dodged effortlessly and countered with a slime whip, sending the villain crashing to the ground. Meanwhile, a third villain snuck up from behind, only to have his ears assaulted by the girl's ear jacks. Screaming in agony, he fell to his knees, receiving a swift kick to the face. As the dust settled, 2 more villains collided, their heads bloody and crumpled to the ground. Kevin stepped forward, a smirk on his face. "Kevin, you helped me out," Izuku said, surprised. "But I thought you said you weren't interested in heroics." "I'll always have your back, Izuku," Kevin replied. "That's what friends are for." The girl approached, twirling her earphones. "Hey, thanks for saving me. You guys should go. Don't want you getting in trouble for quirk usage. I'll handle the cops." Izuku nodded, transforming back into his human form. "No problem. Take care." As they left the girl to deal with the knocked-out thugs now being arrested, Izuku and Kevin made their way to the bustling Kiyashi shopping mall. "Someone had to do it," Kevin said. "There were no heroes in sight. We had to take action and put them in their place. They needed to be punished. Who knows what they would have done to her if we just stood by and did nothing." "Yeah, but we still broke the law and ran from the scene," Izuku countered. "Would you prefer we stayed and got arrested?" Kevin asked, his tone firm. "That's exactly what would have happened." "Can't we say it was self-defense? I mean," Izuku began. Kevin cut him off. "The girl was self-defense, but we purposely stepped in looking for a fight. You can't keep thinking like that." "Thinking like what?" Izuku asked. "Playing by the rules will lead to success. That a hero will always be there to save you." Newsflash. The rules are just as useless as the heroes and teachers. Especially our teachers, who turn a blind eye to everything happening around them. And for what? Because you were born different? You didn't ask to be born quirkless, but how many times has this rotten world pushed you down? How many times were you beaten before I stepped in? Izuku looked uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact. He preferred to ignore his harsh treatment from others and put the worst times behind him. "You said you want to be a hero, right?" Kevin asked. Izuku nodded hesitantly, unsure where this was going. "What do heroes do?" Kevin pressed. "They protect people," Izuku replied. "True, but you know what else they do? They put villains to justice and hold them accountable for their actions." "Where are you going with this?" Izuku asked. Kevin didn't look up, continuing to drink before noticing his glass was almost empty. With a wave of his hand, a pink purse flew into his grasp. "Kevin, what are you doing?" Izuku exclaimed. Kevin rummaged through the purse, finding a cell phone. He examined it before tossing it to Izuku. "Hey, stop! Give that back!" Izuku protested. "Give it back? I don't think so," Kevin said, his tone laced with anger. "See, the way I see it, the world around us praises assholes like Bakugu and punishes us just for being born different. I say we fight back. We show everyone what we're capable of. We show the world why they shouldn't have messed with us." Kevin extended his hand in a handshake. "I've had your back all these years. Now have mine. Please, Izuku. What do you say, partner?" Izuku hesitated, considering the offer when...
Hey!
The boys turned to see a girl with short brown hair, hazel eyes, and permanently flushed cheeks. Her distraught expression and accusatory finger targeted them.
"Give it back, that's mine,"
she shouted, desperation edging her voice. Tears seemed imminent. Kevin immediately grabbed Izuku's arm and began running. The girl spotted the boys trying to flee and quickly tried to catch up to them. As she made it down the stairs and out into the street, she saw the 2 boys running away. Desperate, she pleaded with them. "Please give it back! That's the last money I have! My parents don't have much. Please, I'm begging you! I'll do anything!" Her voice cracked as she tried to keep up with the boys. This caused Midoriya to turn toward the girl, but he was pulled by Kevin, who ripped open a manhole and leapt into it. Kevin sealed it behind them, leaving the girl struggling to open it. Tears began to prick at the corners of her eyes. "No," she whispered, and she stopped struggling, allowing herself to cry softly. As Midoriya walked through the sewers, he could hear the faint sobs of the girl. It broke his heart. He felt ashamed of himself and disgusted by his actions. We went too far," he muttered. "Huh," Kevin replied, not paying attention. "That girl was so distraught. We have to return it." "Oh, so you're not with me. We get to do anything, and if I want to keep this money, I will." "Kevin, we can't do this. We're acting like villains." "Oh, I see. I've had your back, but when I need yours, you'd rather take some cheap shots at someone you don't even know? It's not like that. Shut up! I'm tired of that school! Kevin's face began to look more unhinged with every word that came out. Yeah, I'll end them. I'll show them what a real villain is like. Kevin, stop. You need to calm down. He looked at Izuku with a wild expression. Or what? I'll stop you myself. Kevin's face morphed into a mask of anger as he absorbed the ground beneath him. Having absorbed a fire quirk earlier, his hands ignited with flames. Midoriya quickly dialed the Omnitrix and slammed down on the device. Amphibian! I've been protecting you since we were 10. Don't think I won't beat you to a pulp if you get in my way. Amphibian launched a powerful lightning bolt toward Kevin, sending him flying and slamming into a wall, scorching mark on his chest. Kevin quickly blasted himself toward the boy, his hands morphing into maces. He swung them at the alien, who dodged the attacks. With each swing passing through him, Amphibian wrapped his tentacles around Kevin, sending a torrent of electricity through him. Kevin grabbed the tentacles and screamed in pain as he absorbed the energy before they were blasted apart. Amphibian widened his eyes in horror as Kevin, a mixture of amphibians, flew above and made his way down the street. You want to play hero? He said with a malicious tone as he concentrated on directing the blast of electricity toward the railways. Amphibian's eyes widened as an explosion ensued. As a train approached rapidly, Kevin flew into the power lines. Ah, man. This is the end of Chapter 4. Please support the original writer, Phantomdanger. Find him on WhatsApp, fanfiction.net, and .archive of our own.